Hi, Paul Abrams here from Team Dynamics, and if you're watching this video, I want to thank you for investing the time. Why? Because we're going to talk all about the trader profile, right? Who are all about timing, getting things right, the tempo, energy, everything happening at the right time in the right order. So if you're suffering in your business or your team right now with too much chaos, things not happening at the right time in the right order, there's probably a chance you're missing some of that really critical tempo energy. So I want to thank you for investing that time. We're going to go behind the scenes and really walk you through two specific examples of a trader profile, how they add value to a team, how they get into flow, and also the one thing you must know about traders if they're on your team to make sure they don't come in and resign and surprise you when you had no idea there was a problem. I'll explain that on the deep dive video. Let's head over right now, take the time to learn more about these wonderful profiles, the traders. Let's head to the visuals now.
Hi and welcome to this deep dive into the trader profile. Let's jump right in. So just to remind you, obviously we have the talent dynamics square where we're talking about the value that each profile brings to the team and how you leverage that value. What's the strategy that you use? So just to remind you, there's the dynamo energy at the top, blaze energy on the right hand side, the tempo energy, which is what we're going to be talking about today, at the bottom, and the steel energy on the left. And the reason we're going to talk about tempo energy is because the trader is right in the middle of the tempo energy. You can see it right at the bottom there. So let's just talk about what a trader looks like. So this is what a typical trader profile can look like. We see this quite a lot. Obviously no two profiles are the same. Everyone's unique to the individual, the personality, but we will see quite a lot of this kind of trend, although I'll show you a slightly different version of a trader profile later. But this is one that we see more and more actually when we engage with traders. Is they've got this deal maker and accumulator secondary, which is the blaze energy and the steel energy. But you look at that tempo score, 48, so connected to the here and now. They're right in the present. And as you see at the bottom, there's a difference between introvert and extrovert. They can be introverted for a while, or they can be extroverted. But what you've got to realize is when they're extroverted, they then need time on their own to be very introverted to recover from that, because it takes a lot of effort for them. So they can be quite interesting to work with on a team, because one minute they're very, they'll have lots of conversations, and the next minute they'll sit and not talk to anybody. And certain profiles can be confused by that and think they've upset them or something's wrong. And it's not that. They just need time on their own to recover from the energy it takes them to go over to this secondary side of their profile. More on the secondaries in a moment or two. But as you look at this and you look at the dynamo, 8% dynamo, this is where they need to be in a team where other people are giving them projects and plans. As we said with the blaze energy, they're perfect to work with supporters, because supporters give them the plans, dynamos give them the ideas, and they're able to make it happen in real time in the here and the now. They're the ones that are able to really kind of put that into practice and get it going and moving forward. And their ability to manage tasks and projects and people and stay on track and stay on time is one of their greatest pieces of value to the team. Now, obviously, as we go through this short video, we'll be talking about not just the value that they add to you as a leader in your team, but also how you leverage that value. Who are the people that they need around them to give them the most leverage on that value? So if you are a trader profiler and you're running a team, this will be really important and impactful for you, so that you'll understand who you need around you to get the most return on your talent, as I said. All right, let's go forward. So up next, you'll look at how to work with a trader. So what they need connection and confidence. This is interesting. So they need connection to the here and the now. They're the earth energy. So think about the earth. You want to be connected to the earth, don't you? Because that's where all the if you think the nutrients are, it's where all the value is. But they're very connected to the here and the now. So they're aware of seasonal changes, they're aware of trends that change, they're aware of the customers that go from being happy to unhappy. They're very connected to that shift in what's going on around them in a way that, say, dynamo profiles just aren't, because their head's in the clouds and they're miles away. So they're very connected. So they need to be connected to the people that they work with. We talk about the connection to their community that they're in, the connection to the customers that they serve. And those two things give them a level of confidence that they're very aware of what's going on around them, and they're one of the biggest worriers on the team. They will worry about everything. They will worry about letting people down. They worry about letting customers down. They worry about doing the wrong thing. They worry about wasting people's time or money. They are genuinely worriers because everything is happening in real time for them. So they worry a lot as they're the worriers, if you think. And that affects their confidence. So they need constant kind of connection and confidence building from a leader. Now, how do you present to them? If you want to get them bought into anything, the way you kind of get them bought in is you present them with the information printed out. Use a handout of some description, let them experience it. They're the kind of profiles that if you send them an email with an attachment, they'll print it out so they can write on it and make notes. So obviously if you are a trader watching this, then you're going to want to print out, perhaps print out your profile and make notes as we go through with this, so you can see what, really feel for what I'm telling you in this information, and get a feel for how it comes alive for you. And that's the kind of language that you'll hear them use as well, right? So the question that they ask, the question they ask is when. When do you need it by? When will you get back to me on that? When will it arrive? They're very much in the when question. And that's a big side of their life. They're always thinking about, they're trading. If you think about it, the trader doesn't mean financial trader, but they're trading their time for an outcome. They're trading their time for information. They're trading their time for commitments. They're always doing that deal in their head, and they're managing everything against a usually a very structured time framework, where they're trying to leave the office by 5 or 5:30 because they've got 15 things they want to do that evening that are all planned in. So absolutely, that's how they're communicating, right? So if you want to talk to them, make sure it's regularly. Touch base with them often. As a leader, you want to touch in with them. Just, hey, how you doing? Text, emails. Keep the connection with them. Remember, the more you keep that connection, the better they feel. And make sure that you're reassuring them when they do something right. And if they do make a mistake, downplay it. Don't dramatize it, because that will really affect their level of confidence and performance. And in fact, it will really, it'll freak them out, and they won't move forward very well if you really make it feel for them as a leader that there are massive consequences or embarrassments to them if they ever make a mistake. Now, the thing is here, you've got to be careful if they do have real memories. So if you say you're going to get back to them in 2 hours, get back to them in 2 hours. If you say we're going to meet next week for a coffee to talk about that on Tuesday, make sure you then do it. Schedule it in. They are a profile that likes structure. The secondary profile is SEAL, so they like the structure. So use diary invitations, diary notes, to make sure you're managing their time so they feel comfortable with that level of security. Best job roles for them, great things like customer service, event planning, organising the team, organising events, organising customer events. Anything that involves keeping time, things like diary management, researching suppliers, buying, because they do the research with their Steel Energy, which is their secondary, and then they know when to, they build the relationships with their Blaze Energy, and they know the perfect time to buy. They're also good at PAs, they're very good PAs. We just did some work with an organisation that trains and coaches PAs, and we did some profiling for them, and a large amount of them came out as traders because they work with entrepreneurs who are typically high dynamo energy, and they add that balance to that. In fact, I have a trader on my team within Team Dynamics, Leslie, and without her there would be chaos in my diary, and things would not happen, and connections would be dropped with customers, all of those kind of things that traders do and love to do, and it makes them feel very valuable because they are. What induces their stress? Being late for them, unannounced change. So change they're not consulted, and they have a strong sense of fairness. So that if something's done without their consultation that affects the team, they'll get very upset. That will upset them and stress them out. Not listening to their concerns. This is important. If you are a leader with a high dynamo energy, these are the people that will give you the early warning signs that something is wrong. Something's wrong with the product, with someone in the team. And the thing is here, when they are stressed, traders don't tend to tell you about it because they don't want to worry you that they're stressed. So you don't know when a trader is typically stressed. They're very internal in this regard. So what happens is the first time you find out they're stressed is when they come in and resign. And you're like, I didn't even know there was a problem, because they're not vocal about things that are stressing them out. So you have to look for the signs with them and stay in regular contact and keep them connected, or they won't share that they're stressed. Worst kind of questions or things you can get them to do that will induce stress is to ask them to plan, for projects 2 or 3 years ahead. Now, let me give you a distinction around this because it's important. That is the case if it's a creative process. So if you said work up a business plan of how we're going to go from here to here, they couldn't do that. But if you said to them, so in 2 years we want to be here, now work out a plan backwards of how we will get there from there to here, work me out a project plan to get to that outcome, that they can do. But they need the creative assistance of what the vision looks like and the destination before they can work backwards. So hopefully that makes sense. And putting them under time pressures to get stuff done really stresses them out because they like to take enough time to do a good job, and it's important for them. So I mentioned the secondary profiles a couple of times. We've been going through this. So yeah, the deal maker is their first secondary, which is the mix of the blaze energy for them. You can see that from the profile on the right, where blaze is 24, so it's down in the bottom right hand corner. And then obviously the steel energy that they have access to as well, which is the accumulator side of them, which is in this profile example steel 20. So you'll see very much that they can bring that research and the detailed side of things. So they're able to bring that in for short periods of time. Again, secondary profiles are the ones that people lean on and can use to increase their overall performance. They're a bit like wings. They help them rise to a new level. And if you really want to tap their value as a trader, you want to find a role where they can use all of the strength that they bring at the bottom of the Talent Dynamics square. So using their trader, accumulator, deal maker profiles, or using all of them, makes them highly valuable to the team. Now, who do they need around them to help leverage their value? Well, obviously we've talked about how they operate. So let's talk about they need a lord, right? Who do they need? They need a lord. Why? Because lords are great at detail, and whilst they can do it, traders for short periods of time with their accumulator profile, they're great supporters for traders when it comes to analysis, agendas, planning. And it allows traders to tick things off by delegating to the lords to do the more detailed work than they would feel comfortable with, or that would take them too much time because they don't have the skill sets to do it. So they really do need that lord profile to bring in that harder edge, because traders, as we said, they're all about fairness and service, and sometimes they can really avoid conflict at all costs because they really don't want to let anybody down. So they need the lord's steel to give them a little bit of sharper edge to deal with the things that might be a little bit more difficult or challenging to bring out, either in front of the team or difficult to kind of have conversations. Sometimes traders work well when they use the lords as part of their support team. So if you're a leader, that's an important side for you to remember, because they'll give you the analysis, the detail, and the harder edge that you need to get things done in the here and now. They'll drive it through, if you will. Now, the profile that traders need around them is they need a star profile. And this is because traders typically will avoid the spotlight at all costs. They really like to be seen behind the scenes. If you take them out and stick them, and if, for example, at an event where they don't know anybody, that'll freak them out and they'll tend to want to hide in the corner. Now, where it works is if they built up lots of relationships with customers, say, for example, one-to-one, phone, email, in terms of communication, and they know people, they feel they know people, and then you have an event where the people they've been talking to one-to-one turn up, then they're in a group, then they're okay with that. That will still be a little stretch for them, but they can do that, and at that point they add significant value because they're taking the relationship to another level, and people really do connect with traders when they meet them face-to-face. So traders need stars to get out there and help sell their ideas, promote what they're thinking about, promote what they want to have happen in the here and now. Plus, stars bring that dynamo energy, which talks about the future, and they can help traders see how they could expand a product or an idea and take it into a whole new market and take it in a whole new direction. So that's why traders need the lords and the stars in their inner circle, if you like, their inner power team, to kind of move them to that different level of leveraging their value. All right, so let's talk about with traders. It's not a label or an excuse. Obviously, that's really important to be clear on. But I think here's another example of an unusual trader that we've come across and that you sometimes come across. These are less frequent, but they are out there. So whilst their secondaries are obviously the deal maker and the accumulator, what's interesting about this particular profile, if you look at it, is that they've got an exceedingly high amount of dynamo energy as well. Now, obviously, the trader, this side of it down here, very much accumulator and deal maker, but they have this dynamo energy at the top, which is unusual. So it's an unusual mix. It's a bit like, we call it kind of the pinch profile, because it's kind of pinched at the sides. But what's interesting about this profile is that they can start things, they've got the energy to get it started and finish it. So as a leader, if you've got one of these on your team, or if your profile is this as a leader, you'll be exceptionally good at starting things and finishing things. Where you may struggle with sometimes is the relationship side of things, just because you haven't got the energy, if you can see with 16 blaze, or the steel energy to follow through on certain things in terms of the detail and analysis. But you are great at starting things and finishing things, which is unusual. So that's why you want to be careful with labels around the trader, because not all traders have very little dynamo energy. In fact, this one has particularly high amounts of dynamo energy. So as you can see, this is where the profile adds massive value to you as a leader, and obviously to understanding other people you interact with in your teams, if you're able to look at the talent frequencies, as we refer to them. So just wanted to show you a different one there. Remember, if we go to the team roles diagram and we look at the team roles, we're looking down here primarily at the bottom. Very good traders at things like customer service, interacting, deal making, negotiating, really kind of key for them as well. And obviously also they're good at going out and doing the research as well. So anything that involves some sort of background information and then one-to-one negotiating conversations, they're really, really good. They're in their sweet spot down here, absolutely without question. And particularly great at the customer service, anything, as we said, that involves that timing, a little bit of research, a little bit of detail, perhaps invoicing, and things of that nature, as well as negotiating price or small contracts or upsells or cross-sells, things like that. They're particularly good and add massive value inside a team in that particular type of role. Now, give you an example, here's a company with a large amount of trader energy. In fact, you can actually see, if you look in the picture, the graphs, in fact, they're holding their profiles, and you'll see the owner of the business has a green profile because she's very much the dynamo. And everyone else has the yellow profiles, the gold profiles that go with the trader energy that they have. Why? They're a recruitment company. They're about timing. Obviously, everything in a recruitment business is about getting the right people at the right time into the right role for the right job. So heavily orientated that way. In fact, this company decided to train all of their team in the Team Dynamics certification, get them all trained up so that they're able to add even more value to their clients when they were actually debriefing candidates, but not just that, debriefing and reporting back to the clients of theirs who were recruiting. So they got them all certified up. This was day one of the training with them. As you can see, the posters on their office wall behind them. So what's interesting though is just looking at that. It's a business model that's hugely dependent on timing, but still requires that dynamo energy to drive it forward. So in terms of this team, obviously what was great, it was that the owner of the business, Angela, in the middle there with the green top on and holding her green profile, she was the driver, she was the one that was really kind of moving it forward, and yet her team was heavily tempo energy because it was a lot of one-to-one communication, which tempos are great, traders are really great with, using their deal maker side of their profile, and research, which obviously they were using a lot of as well to find candidates on things like LinkedIn and platforms like that. So you can see from this client story how certain profiles are attracted as well to certain industries, or if you have the wrong profiles in the wrong roles in a team, it can actually hold the business back in terms of its growth. All right, so that concludes the deep dive into the trader profile. Let's hand you back to the studio.
Hi and welcome back from the deep dive into the trader profile, where we really took the time to go behind what is often a misunderstood profile. And I think you'll agree with me, they can add huge value, especially if you're like me in the creator space who sometimes struggles with the timing of getting things finished. Seriously, tempos can add so much value to your life in that space. Now, what I wanted to do was to give you an opportunity to take the next step in learning more about the traders, but also more about yourself or somebody on your team. Maybe you're thinking, yeah, that sounded like me, I think I'm a trader. Or maybe you're thinking, oh gosh, I think somebody on my team is a trader. Or do I need a trader? Maybe you're still confused about whether they'd help you personally shift your level of performance. Well, the good news, on this page, there's a button right now you can click where you can take advantage and have real quality time with one of my personal certified trainers and get your own profile or a member of your team profiled and a debrief with one of my trainers. Why is that valuable to you? Well, right now it's really going to help you to understand, it's going to help you to really kind of find that flow, and if you're potentially a trader, it's going to help you tick more things off your to-do list by making sure you understand in what order to operate with other members of the team. So I'm going to encourage you to invest a little bit of time and effort by clicking the button below and securing this opportunity to get a profile and a debrief with a certified trainer right now. Click the button below. I look forward to seeing you again soon. Bye for now.